In a thrilling World War II story inspired by actual events, Captain Ernest Krauss leads an international convoy of 37 ships on a treacherous mission across the Atlantic to deliver thousands of soldiers and much-needed supplies to Allied forces. Hey, what's going on, everybody out there? Welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot here today to talk about the new Apple TV Plus war film, Greyhound. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about this movie and if you should check it out. But before we dive into the spoiler-free review, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my social media accounts. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new content. Give this video a thumbs up, helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, if and when you've seen Greyhound on Apple TV Plus, let me know what you all thought about this 90-minute war film. What were some of your favorite moments, your least favorite moments? Let's have some fun discussions in the comments below. So this film was initially supposed to come out this past March. Everything with COVID-19 pushed it back, but then Apple acquired it. I think it was a $70 million acquisition, and it's now available on this platform. So let's start off with some of the positives. So this is, if you've been part of my community for a while, you know I'm not the biggest war watching. I appreciate war films for what they are, but I don't normally seek them out. But one of my favorite war films of all time happens to star Tom Hanks and Saving Private Ryan. Love that film. So I was very intrigued with the idea of Tom Hanks in a war film, and he's writing this film this time around. This isn't his first time writing a movie, but this first time writing a war film. So starting off with the positives, the man of the hour, Tom Hanks. I mean, at this point in his career, I think we could pretty much, it's him acting in anything is pretty much a guarantee you're going to like his performance. And him as the lead of this, the ship in this movie, you know, you really feel for Tom Hanks, right? You don't get as much backstory from the character, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in regards to what we do get in this film, seeing him on that ship, whenever he wants to take a break, sip a cup of coffee, eat some bacon for breakfast, the man doesn't have a chance to breathe, because literally for 90 minutes this film has you from wall-to-wall action, which was really exhilarating at times. And just watching Tom Hanks command his crew, you know, he's new in his position, but also some of his crew members are new in their position, and seeing his crew members being terrified, right? They're literally, this movie, it's like every 5 minutes something is hitting the fan, something's going wrong. There's, you know, Russian ships that's going to take them down. There's torpedoes, which another thing I will commend Tom Hanks for the writing of this movie. The lingo, the verbiage that they use, which was very fascinating to me. 7, 170, 180, 100 CX5, like the jargon that they had in this film was very fascinating. I'm not in the, you know, in the Marines or the war or anything of that nature, but it sounded very authentic. So let me know if the authenticity was there for those that maybe served in the Army or have read this book that this is based on. But I felt like it was really authentic and true to what would go down in those situations. So that was very good. But going back to Tom Hanks again, I thought he was phenomenal in this movie. The action, even though it has some gripes with the visual effects, which we'll leave a little bit later, I thought that again, when they're on the ship and they're trying to avoid destruction, and when they're trying to save their lives, when you're seeing these crew members, you know, risking their lives, and some of the people from the kitchen coming up and helping during the war, I appreciate all of the war survival aspects about this film. I thought it was really, again, authenticity. I felt it was raw and honest and true to the situation they were put themselves in. So those are some things I really appreciated. Again, it's 90 minutes. It goes by pretty quick, which in a war film may have some people a little bit worried, but I think for what Tom Hanks was trying to tell and what they were trying to convey with the story, it was a perfect amount of runtime to tell the story that he wanted to tell in this movie. Now, getting into some of the criticisms, this film, again, this isn't my cup of tea in regards to war films. Again, I think of Dunkirk, which is a film that a lot of people give gripes about the characterization of the characters or lack of the characterizations within those films. But it was just, for whatever reason, I think this is a perfect example for me. And Tom Hanks even said so much so the other day where he wished this film was able to be seen in theaters, because I think this film was meant to be seen in theaters. I never felt the sense of urgency and felt the sense of the stakes of our characters. Granted, you don't know what could have happened next, but I felt like Tom Hanks, him being on the ship, things were going to be okay, because I think that's just the Tom Hanks thing to do as far as him saving the day. But I felt like the intensity was never there for me, because I didn't feel the being on the ocean, being on the ship. I didn't feel those emotions for me personally. And also, I mentioned the characterization. We don't meet many characters in regards to their situation. Now, we don't have to have a backstory of the kitchen, the people in the kitchen, the people on the ships. We don't have to find out if they have kids at home. But it was just like, we're just watching these people running around the ship and seeing all these, again, seems to be accurate lingos on the ship, but I just never felt connected to the story, which, by the way, the story being they're just trying to survive, which I can appreciate. Simplicity is sometimes the best thing to do, but it's just like we're just watching this all kind of take place. Again, I compare it to Dunkirk to a certain extent of, again, a movie, a war film that doesn't really focus on its characters. But what Dunkirk did, to me, in my opinion, what Christopher Nolan did was we at least saw different situations with, land, sea, and air, and getting moments with those characters. And this film has some quieter moments, but it's more or less just the quieter moments of Tom Hanks trying to eat, writing notes, seeing how people are doing. It's just like the quieter moments in this film really didn't add anything to me personally, and nor did, like I said, I wasn't able to connect to any characters within this film. Again, I appreciate the filmmaking aspect, but I mentioned a little bit earlier, another criticism of mine was the visual effects. This was a $50 million war film. I think they did the best that they could with the budget that they had, which maybe some of that budget went towards Tom Hanks' salary and some of the other big name actors that they had in here that really didn't give much to the movie. But sometimes the stuff on the sea and the visuals just didn't feel that strong to me. It just felt kind of not amateur, but it just felt like it could have been brushed up more and a little bit more focused on that attention to detail. It just didn't look all that great to me, just speaking in regards to the visual effects. So again, I think this would have maybe been more impactful to me if I saw it in the theaters, but if I'm being honest, this was a one-time watch. I don't see myself ever watching this movie again, nor do I revisit a lot of war films as it is, but it's just like, if I do revisit a war film, it's like, oh man, I can't wait till we get to this moment to see this character have this monologue or see this interaction between these characters. This film didn't have any memorable moments for me personally. So again, I applaud the filmmaking. Tom Hanks is great. I think he did a great job as the commander, but unfortunately, the rest of the crew, the rest of the package of this film just wasn't my cup of tea, as I said a couple times already. So with that being said, I'll give this film a 2.8 out of 5. Again, I think it's a well-made film. I'm pretty sure people that have served in the Army and in the military and in the Marines and all this stuff can probably appreciate just the survival aspect and the lingo and the authenticity of what was going on. But for me, it just didn't click. Again, the characters, the supporting characters really weren't there. The story, the lack of backstory we got from Tom Hanks, like, I don't want to give too much away, but again, in the film, he has this particular love interest, and it's just like, okay, what are we rooting for? I found myself, I wanted these characters to survive because I liked these characters as actors, but not necessarily, I didn't know these characters. I didn't know who they were outside of Tom Hanks praying every 5 minutes and not eating and his feet bleeding. I didn't learn much from these characters, so that's why I'm giving it a 2.8 out of 5. But if you enjoyed the film, that's fantastic. Let me know some of your thoughts in the comments of what really stuck for you, what connected with you in this film. But if you were more like me in regards to not being as favorable to this film, let me know your thoughts as well. So as always, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my content. This past weekend, The Old Guard I watched on Netflix and reviewed. Palm Springs watched and reviewed, as well as, watch-alongs for Spider-Man Far From Home. So a lot of great content for you all to enjoy at home. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you on the next video.